It appears that Jim Jones' relationship drama has reached a new level of toxicity. Rumor has it that Jim went off on Chrissy Lampkin. And by off, I don't mean a small argument between lovers over who left the toothpaste cap off. I'm talking full-blown. 911 calling. This isn't your typical rapper, and the reason for his arrest will leave you speechless. Hold up, Jim Jones. The same Jim who has been out here flexing, dropping bars, Quetsu, and avoiding wedding vows like Neo in The Matrix. Oh, believe me, you're going to want to grab some popcorn because this tea is boiling. Let's get started. Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin, the reality TV couple who have kept fans entertained for more than 10 years, are now at the center of a scandal so wild that it could shake the entire entertainment industry. Yes, you heard that right. Cops pulling up handcuffs and clicking chaos. But wait, wasn't Chrissy the one who proposed to him? So what's on the reverse oh no card? Been detained for allegedly assaulting Chrissy Lampkin. This isn't just a rumor. Witnesses, police reports, and even close sources are all stating the same thing, suggesting that this could be the last straw in their long and complicated relationship. If you've been following their love story, you already know that these two have experienced a lot of drama. From Chrissy proposing to Jim because he refused to commit to their heated arguments on reality TV, to their relationship being anything but peaceful. However, let's examine what actually happened this time. It began with a huge argument that went completely out of control, according to inside sources. Jim and Chrissy had been fighting for days about something significant, and at first, people assumed it was just another of their usual arguments. But this time, neighbors heard shouting, glass breaking, and doors slamming. Like there was a full-on Hollywood drama taking place right next door. However, sources say it wasn't just words being exchanged. According to some reports, Chrissy started throwing things, but Jim took it to the next level, according to the police report. When officers arrived on the scene, Chrissy was visibly shaken, and Jim was agitated and refusing to cooperate. Face it, this isn't Jim's first run-in with the law. We've seen his name appear in legal issues before, but this one may be the worst yet. What actually started this fight? Because, let's face it, nobody just snaps out of nowhere. Turns out to be something that Jim has been struggling with for years. Money, now that Jim likes to flex. We're talking about a man who lives lavishly and spends his financial situation isn't as stable as he would like people to think. And Chrissy has had enough people close to the couple tell her that she has been keeping things together for years by making sure their bills are paid while Jim continues to live the lifestyle of a rapper. This time she finally lost it and called him out on it. During the argument, Chrissy allegedly screamed, and Jim wasn't having it. If you recall, this isn't the first time Chrissy has had problems with Jim's financial habits. When the police arrived, they weren't prepared for this level of chaos, according to witnesses. Jim refused to calm down, and officers reportedly tried to de-escalate the situation, but he wasn't listening. One officer allegedly asked Jim to step outside so they could figure out what was going on, but Jim wasn't having it. If you go back a few years, you'll remember how she kept pushing him to be more responsible, invest in their future, and stop blowing money like he's still at the top of the rap game. The crazy part is that Chrissy didn't even call the police because the neighbors were afraid something serious was happening. Jim is then arrested, which is where things get really messy. The police reportedly tried to calm him down, but when he continued to resist, they had no choice but to put him in cuffs. Chrissy was standing there in shock, yelling that they had no business being in his house. One source says she never expected it to go this far. Because, as you already know, the internet is going to go crazy over this Jim Jones, the man who is constantly talking about being untouchable, sitting in a police station trying to figure out how the hell he got here. But the real question is, what does this mean for Chrissy? After years and years of putting up with Jim's nonsense, is this finally the breaking point? Some people are saying that Chrissy needs to leave this man, while others believe that she will stay because, let's be honest, Although she has supported him through difficult times, let's face it, Jim is currently in legal trouble. And depending on how serious the charges are, could have a significant impact on his career. Now, things get even more bizarre. If Jim is charged, we may be facing a protracted legal battle. Additionally, he already has a history with the law. So will Chrissy continue to support him in getting out of this situation? Or is this the end of the road for the couple who have been hanging on by a thread for years? One of the most significant scandals to hit the entertainment industry in a long time. And guess what? We're just getting started. All right, let's jump right into part 2 of this crazy situation because, believe me, it will only get wilder. We left off, Jim Jones was being taken away in handcuffs. Chrissy was standing there in shock, and the internet was going crazy. However, this is where things really take a turn for the worse. Because, as you are all aware, the moment that mugshot was released, people began cooking JY like Thanksgiving dinner, memes, tweets, and Instagram posts were all non-stop. And let me tell you that the responses were evenly divided. On the one hand, people said that Chrissy should have left years ago and that she needed to run. While on the other side, people said that this was just another one of their toxic arguments and that they would get back together the following week. However, this is where things get really messy because, as you may recall, this wasn't just a private argument that got out of control. Rather, it escalated into a full-fledged criminal case as soon as Jim was booked by the police. Began their investigation, and that's when things began to leak. Anonymous sources purportedly from within the police department began speaking to blogs. And let's just say that their findings weren't good for Jim. One source stated that when officers arrived, they discovered evidence of a physical altercation. What does that mean? Well, there were indications that Chrissy had been hurt during the fight. Now, hold on. Let's be clear that Chrissy herself didn't file charges, at least not yet. However, in domestic cases, the victim doesn't always have to press charges. Jim Jones has been in the business for decades and has seen the highs and lows of the rap game. But let's face it, he's not at the top of the game like he used to be. In today's world, a scandal like this could be the last nail in the coffin for sponsors, brand deals, and potential TV shows. Charges, if the police feel there is enough evidence, they can pursue the case on their own. That's what's happening here, which means Jim might be facing some serious legal trouble. Now, let's talk about the legal aspect of things because as the police are pursuing the case, Jim will need to hire a lawyer because, depending on the seriousness of the charges, he may face some serious repercussions. In the best case scenario, he may receive a fine and probation. In the worst case scenario, he may face jail time. Let's face it, Jim is not built for that life. If you recall, Jim has had legal issues in the past, but he has always managed to get away with it. The question now is how Jim gets out of this mess. Can he even fix it? And more importantly, does Chrissy even want to help him anymore? Because, let's be honest, she's been cleaning up his messes for years. But this might be too much. What's next? Is Jim going to lose everything? Is Chrissy finally going to leave? And most importantly, is this the last time that it will be easy? In the current climate, people are not playing when it comes to these kinds of cases. And if the DA decides to make an example of him, it could be bad. Jim Jones, as we know him, is coming to an end because, although things don't seem good right now, there is still more to this story because just when we thought it couldn't get any stranger, new information just came out, and you won't believe what's going to happen next. All right, let's move on to part 3 because, believe me, things have taken a completely different turn. And things are looking bad for Jim Jones. When we left off, Jim was sitting in jail. Chrissy was being far too quiet. And the entire industry was waiting to see what would happen next. Dropped, and it could be the last straw for Jim because, guess what? Chrissy is finally leaving after years of supporting him. Waiting for a wedding that never happened, dealing with drama, and cleaning up his mess. According to people close to her, was her breaking point because she's tired of fighting the same battles over and over again, as well as tired of looking foolish in front of everyone. But listen, this isn't just the craziest part is that Chrissy is planning to leave New York permanently. According to sources, she has already been discussing with her lawyers the idea of separating her finances from Jim's. Significant because, although they are not married, they have many business ties. So if Chrissy is making sure her money is safe, it means she is really done. Chrissy is also looking at homes in Miami and has been contacting real estate agents. And she is already planning her next chapter without Jim. Now, let's discuss what this means for Jim because, let's face it, his life would be different without Chrissy. For years, she has kept him grounded and ensured that he didn't go out of control. Now that she is gone, Jim will realize how much he truly needed her. But don't worry, this story is far from over because even as he deals with all of this personal drama, his legal issues have gotten worse. If you recall how the police were already pursuing the case, he was initially facing a simple domestic dispute charge, but now he faces felony charges. Prosecutors appear to have taken the case more seriously after new evidence surfaced. They haven't disclosed the specifics of the evidence. But some people are speculating that their home surveillance footage may have captured the entire fight on camera. If that's the case, Jim is in serious trouble. Because, let's face it, there is no wriggling your way out of that when there is video evidence. It's getting worse because a judge has officially issued a restraining order against Jim, which means he can't go near Chrissy, contact her, or even try to make things right. If he does, he could face even more jail time. But let's talk about the industry side of this because not many people are jumping ship. As I mentioned earlier, some of Jim's own people were keeping quiet, but now they're actively separating themselves. Some of his longtime friends and business partners are gradually distancing themselves from him, unfollowing him on social media and acting as though they didn't even know him. Since Jim wasn't exactly at the top of the rap game anymore, he was still respected and had a name, but he was more focused on other business ventures that are now in jeopardy. Brands don't want their names linked to a potential domestic abuser. Investors don't want their names tied to a scandal like this, and people are already beginning to pull out of the music industry. And you already know what that means. Nobody wants to go down with the ship. Deals with Jim. One of his largest real estate projects was canceled. A potential TV deal he was working on was lost. And let's not forget that Jim was attempting to re-enter the love and hip-hop scene. However, since, let's face it, love and hip-hop thrives on drama, they aren't trying to get involved in something this messy. Now, let's talk about the public reaction. As you are all aware, the internet has been consuming this in real time, with memes, Twitter threads, and in-depth discussions about G's past. People's opinions vary. Some say that it's good for Chrissy that she should have left him, while others are supporting Jim, arguing that this is just another instance of the media trying to discredit a black man. However, there's no denying that Jim's reputation is suffering greatly, and other celebrities are beginning to voice their opinions as well. 50 Cent, for example, couldn't help but make fun of Jim for being locked up on Instagram, saying that he was messy and that I told you so. Some of friends are also attempting to counsel him. According to reports, Cameron and Joel Santana are telling Jim to keep quiet and stop talking because if he continues to talk, it will only get worse. However, as you all know, Jim is not the type to keep quiet. And he is now planning to do a full interview as soon as he is released from prison. This will be a sit-down interview in which he will give his side of the story. But the question is whether or not people will believe him at this point because, let's face it, that mugshot is already, even if he makes an effort to clear the